tonight, the lesson for me is very important and very personal because we are still in the month of Av, and usually we say that the month of Elul, it's the official date that we're starting getting ready for Rosh Hashanah, for the head of the year. And still, actually, starting from Tu B'Av, we are now in the last 7 weeks of the year before Rosh Hashanah. And those 7 weeks are actually all about preparation for Rosh Hashanah. And what will be better to start our journey to this unbelievable date that we're calling Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. It's not the New Year's. New Year's is the 31st of December. Rosh Hashanah, it's not the Jewish head of the Jewish New Year. It's not the Jewish New Year. It's the head of the year for all humanity. But about that, we're going to talk when we'll have a designated lesson about Rosh Hashanah. So today, I would like to talk with you about, I think, that the best way to begin this journey together, and it's to discuss the bad virtues, the vice that we actually should keep correct and work on in our own life. Because the first step is, first of all, should be a moral work, personal or spiritual work upon themselves to understand our bad traits and habits and virtues that we should correct before we are moving on. So, of course, we have our personal combination of bad habits and the weak points in our life, but also we have things that are connected to our generations. And this is what I want to talk about. So my question to you to start with, if you will need to pick one bad virtue or bad habit that we should all focus working on it, what will it be? Anastasia?
Einfach stolz zu sein, mit Gordem. Ja. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, Gardenia. Okay, Gardenia. So Anastasia saying that our ego, to be pride, right? Pride, to not to be proud, but even the pride itself, right? Or our ego, selfishness in a way, right? Miriam, yes.
Well, I would say also Lashon Hara, because that's a very difficult one, and like it comes out so easily, and it harms in so many ways.
Yeah, Lashon Hara, bad mouthing, right? Or bad words, evil tongue, right? And you can say in English, good. What variants you might have, please. So they said here also anger. Anger in its deepest way. We know that in psychology, anger can, last I didn't read for a long time, but last I read, there are 7 types of anger. So when we're talking about anger, it's something very, very wide and very profound to work on. And let's stop here for a second. Yeah, so let's stop here because I think you touched some main characters that I would like to talk about them for a second. So for all those who said anger, and to anger I would add hatred and resentment and so on. So basically you said the words of Ahari HaKadosh, Rabbi Ashkenazi, one of the biggest sages of the 16th century, sage of Torah and sage of Kabbalah. And when we're reading his writings and the writings of his students, we see that all the time he gets back to the fact that we need to correct our anger. He's talking based on the Zohar. So he's saying that anger creates holes in our soul, and because of it, if we're going to lose some parts of our souls, it means that we have holes that negative influence and even maybe entities can get into us. So anger, it's a big issue that the Ari is talking about. So those of you that said pride, ego, it's something that we can find in the writings of Admor HaZaken, of the first Rebbe or Rabbi of Chabad, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Ladi, and the Tanya. So if you read carefully the Tanya, you can see that mainly the main virtue to work on is pride. Great. Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, it's something that you didn't say here. He would say the main thing to work on and to correct will be sadness, emptiness and sadness. What will be with our generation? Because we see different generations, different sages focusing on different kind of virtues. What should we do in our times? Is the question clear? Yeah. We see other sages, for example, the Sfat Emet, the head who, in a way we can say, created the Chassidut of Gur. So in his book, he say a big focus about Shabbat, about keeping Shabbat and being happy in Shabbat and all about Shabbat. So there are different virtues, but I wanted to focus on those first three as a very bright example of virtues that we should work on in our own life. But what with our time? It looks like with everything that we see around us, the hatred, the not being able or wanting to hear each other, to have a real conversations, all the propaganda around us, it looks like that. One of the main things for us in our time will be to work on stopping having a heart of stone or heart of ice. Let's see, what does it mean? So Yechezkel, in the 36th paragraph, he's saying something beautiful. ונתתי לכם לב חדש ורוח חדשה, and I will give you a new heart and a new wisdom or a new soul inside you, בקרבכם. והסירותי את לב האבן מבשרכם, and I will remove the heart of stone from in you, from inside of you. ונתתי לכם לב בשר, and I will give you a real heart of flesh. This is what Yechezkel is saying from the name of God. But what does it mean that we have a heart of stone? It's not a new concept. We see that already Yechezkel is writing about it. But what it will mean for us today? How I connect this heart of stone to what we see today in the world? Worldwide, in Europe, in the United States, in Australia, all over. And also, of course, in Israel. As in many ways, Israel, it's a microcosmos to the whole world. So let's try and understand the idea or the concept of heart of stone, because if we'll be able to understand it better, we'll know what to do with it. Because my goal today, it's not just to talk about any ideas. My goal today that we all will get with tools and practices that we can take home and start practicing. And not something hard, something that we can do starting tonight. Let's see. One of, I think, best ways that I heard to understand the idea of heart of stone will be cynicism, to be cynic. Cynic, right, in English? The idea of being cynic. It actually means heart of stone. And by cynic, I don't talk about sarcasm or irony. Irony and sarcasm are not meaning to be cynic. Soon we will see what cynic means. In more old word in Hebrew, we'll call it letzanut. Letzanut. But again, today, the one who speaks Hebrew, it will be hard to understand letzanut. This is why I started from cynic and heart of stone, and we'll go to letzanut to understand what does it mean. To be cynic, to have heart of stone. Letzanut in Hebrew, it means that I create a veil of metal, of steel between me and God, between me and other people. So I would like right here to read with you from the book Mesilat Yesharim of Ramchal, from the fifth paragraph. ותראה קשי על הצאן והשחטתו הרבה. כי כמו המגן המשוח בשמן אשר ישמיט ויפיל מעליו חיצים ומשליחם לארץ ולא יניח אותם שיגיעו אל גוף האדם, כן הלצון מפני התוכחה והמרדות. כי בליצנות אחד ובשחוק קטן יפיל האדם מעליו ריבוי גדול מן ההתעוררות וההתפעלות. So the Ramchal is saying something unbelievable about it. He's saying that as in the old times when people used to go to war, so they have their sword, they have what they have also?
Shield.
A shield, right? And what do you do that the shield will, that arrows will not go into the shield? What do? We are waxing it, not with wax, but with oil. So it will be slippery. So it will be slippery as extra caution, as extra protection, right? So to be cynicism, it's this oil that doesn't let any feedback, any answer, any lesson, any excitement or awe to come to me. This is the problem with heart of stone. This is the problem with being a cynic. This is the problem of being of practicing letzanut. Is the idea of cynicism is clear so far? It's very important. Do you see it? Do you see exactly what is wrong with social media and they call it diversity? It's not diversity, but you start to be very on the edge against each other and so on. Of course, it's not that the whole world is cynic. It's not what I'm saying. But overall, it looks like a virtue that we should work on it, all of us, as a generation. So we talk about cynicism. So for example, there was a one moment in the past 2 years that actually most of the world suddenly like Israel. When? In the 7th of October, when we are weak and underdog and killed and humiliated and so on. There's a very, very important book I think we should all read. It's called Why the World Like Dead Jews. It's a book that we should read. I don't remember who wrote it. I think this is how it's called in English again. I saw it in Hebrew, of course, but we should look after. Maybe we'll Google it. So, to be cynic, in many ways, it's all about doubting the truth or doubting everything. But doubts, you have two categories of doubts. You have good doubts and you have bad doubts, for example. A good doubt, it's a doubt that coming from humility. In other words, to say the words, I don't know. Or to say the words, I'm sorry, I was mistaken. And correcting it. It's a good way of doubt. Because this type of doubt, it's doubt that will bring me to curiosity of asking questions, looking for answers, developing myself, and so on. The bad way of doubts is doubts from pride. Who said so? Why should I believe you? Prove it to me. Not prove it to me in a scientific way of I would like proof so I know it's true and I can take it and work with it. But the ego trip, like who you think you are to tell me this? Those kinds of doubts, it's part of being cynic. It's what Amalek did to us as we get out of Egypt. The first one to attack us was Amalek. And it says about Amalek in the Torah, Asher karcha baderech, that it's like almost by mistake they meet us and they attack us without any reason, without any benefit for them. They just attacked us just because. And the sages say in the Midrashim, Asher karcha baderech, karcha meaning met you by coincidence, Also, you can call it karha tzlova, of the word kar in Hebrew, of the word cold. They chilled you. They created coldness because just got out of Egypt. You're all excited. You have a lot of awe to God. You just saw unbelievable things. You are all in fire in a good sense of the word. And they just took a bucket of ice and throw it on you. It's those doubts. They created doubts in God, doubts in maybe we didn't see what we see, and so on. A bad type of doubts. This is why also in Hebrew the word Amalek, the name Amalek, is the same numerical value of the word Safek in Hebrew, which means doubt. It's like a head of the mafia. That outside it looks, wow, he's a powerful man. He have the means, he have money, he have the influence. But actually is the most lonely person on earth because he cannot trust even his wife and his kids. He is lonely, he's always in doubt, he's always in fear. This is where cynicism is going to bring us to. Is the problem with that. So cynicism, to be a cynic, going to bring us to be lonely and in fear and isolated. By the way, if we're talking about cynicism for so long, can you share with me, help me to say, what would be the opposite of being cynic? So the friends here, they said care and
solidarity,
vulnerability, right? What else? Trust, right? It's the opposite of being cynic. What's the problem with cynic? Because usually what we do, we see others and we project. So if I'm a cynic and I hear an amazing lesson, or I read a book, I see somebody that's telling me a feedback or giving me a lesson, what do I do? What do I say? And it's not real, because if it's not real with me and I cannot see myself like this, for sure that person is a liar. He's an actor. He's faking it. I will not believe that. I close myself from the world. So I see others and I see somebody is happy. There's certainty in her life. There's holiness in their life. The way they pray, the way they act, the way they talk. And I say, wow, you inspired me. I want to change. I also want to become better me. Or I said, nah, that's not true. They're lying. They're manipulating me. Am I cynic or not? I'm closing myself on the world from God or not? Holiness? It's a mumbo jumbo in the kids book in a kid's book. God forbid. That's the problem with being cynic. Is the danger of it. So our brothers and sisters in the area of Hamas are almost going to die out of starvation, literally, like it was 80 years ago in Europe, literally. But there's a whole campaign of people that actually fed very well. Maybe there's some hunger because of Hamas. I think Israel is doing a mistake of giving so much food to our enemies. Who heard of it? In any war in history that we will feed our enemies. It's insane. But the world is a cynic world. What happened in the universities in the States, in Europe, it's insane. But this is exactly the problem that we have in our generation. If I believe in something, great. If I don't believe in something, it will not happen. Because even if it will happen, I will find the way to rationalize it. Why it's not the thing that I don't believe in. If there is a scientist that is doing study, and the result that he got, it wasn't the result that's supposed to happen. So a rational one, a normal one would say, oh, it's a hot day in Germany, for example, today, right? Over 30 degrees Celsius. So maybe because of the high temperature, this was the result. Let's try in a different temperature. Make sense? Yes. But if he will say, no, it's not a temperature. My assistant, his eyes are blue. This is why. If his eyes will be brown or green, then it will be fine. That's funny thing even to hear. But the difference between those two people, it's what they believe in and what they are willing to ask. Because they cannot control the color of the eyes, but they can control the temperature. They can change it, right? So what do we want, if to summarize what we studied so far? What would be the opposite of this horrible character, flaw of character? And the answer is very simple. I want to be naive in the good, in the positive understanding of the word, to be whole, to have awe before of Hashem, before of God. So my heart is open. Yeah, it can be sometimes painful, but I don't afraid to live and to be part of this world, to be part of relationships, to be vulnerable. Vulnerability and awe in front of God, it's not a weakness, it's a strength. We want to be Yir'eh Hashem. And I would like to share with you two stories. One more ancient, one more of our days, that connected to this idea. And then to finally we'll finish with what actually we can do and practice for it. So in the times of the Ari Kadosh in Tzfat, in Israel, the 16th century, the story goes like this. There was one person, very poor. He tried to work, he tried to provide to his family, but no luck. And at some point he breaks and he said, it was a Thursday night, he couldn't even get some bread for challah. Dough with water, he could not have dough to bake a challah for Shabbos, for Shabbat. Leave alone that no meat and no fish for Shabbat. Even bread to do a motzi, he couldn't do. So he said to himself, Friday, I will go to the synagogue after the prayer, I will open the ark, and will just yell to God because only God can help. I'm doing something wrong, something doesn't work, I need a miracle. The same day, another person that for a while he have big blessings happening in his life, and he always in the thought, how can I say thank you to God? How can I show my appreciation to all these blessings that coming to me in my life? And then you have an idea Thursday night. God likes Shabbat, right? Shabbos, it's the whole day of God. It's the whole day of creation of this world. I will make the best tuchala that I can do, and I will put them in the ark where the Torah is. He was a simple man. He didn't understand much. You don't have the temple to bring sacrifice. So he thought, okay, we don't have this, but we have the Torah, we have the ark, the Aron HaKodesh. I will put the challah there. So in the morning, he coming to the prayer with the challah in a small bag, nobody see. And after everybody leaving the synagogue after the morning, he coming to the ark. God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. He opened the ark, he put this bag with the challah and closing the ark, kissing the ark and goes away. After a while, coming the first man that do not have nothing for Shabbos. He said, God help me, please. I need your help. He opened the ark to yell to God, and what fell into his hands? A bag of tuchalas. Yeah. What? No way! Such a miracle! It cannot be God, thank you so much. It's speechless. The person is speechless. He's closing the ark. He's kissing 10 times. He takes the house and running to his wife, to his kids. You will never believe what had just happened. God himself brought me the challah for Shabbos. Wow. And the story goes that a week and another, maybe even a few months. Eventually, the Gabbai of the synagogue, he see it, he realized what happened. He stopped and he said, he bring the first one, the second one. You see what happened? You put the challah, you take the challah. It's not God. It's not a miracle. Nothing happened. He brought cynicism to this relationship. It was such a pure giving and sharing. Simple. Naive even, but beautiful. And after that, it says that Ahari came to the Gabbai and told him, because of you, Mashiach will not come in our generation. So maybe he needed to do that, but in a different way. So the second story, it's a story that I heard from Rabbi Guy Alalof. It's a rabbi in Israel. It's a person that if you married it, he will be your rabbi in the yeshiva, and parallel to that, he will be your doctor in university. And if you understand Hebrew, I do highly recommend to hear his lessons. They're deep, they're true, firm. So the story is from him. An old Chassid is a story, I don't remember all the details, but there was a Chassid that when he was young, he was not from a rich family. They almost never had meat or chicken. So he used to go at least once a week to the forest and pray, talk with God, and ask God, please give me some chicken or meat for Shabbos, at least something. And at some point, his friends wanted to laugh a bit, to trick him a bit. So they they came together, they bought a chicken, they made it, and they put it in the forest for him to find. So he find it, and then he said, wow, God, thank you so much, like the story from the challah, right? It's like, thank you, God, for the chicken, so on. They grew up, he became a rabbi, a scholar of Torah. They're good guys and so on, but after many years, they find him and they said, we feel not comfortable. We need to apologize before you, because if you remember back then, so and so, it was us who put the chicken there. We just want to make a laugh and so on, but we feel bad in front of you that we like tricked you. So he told them, you think I didn't know that it's you? Of course I knew it's you. But God gave you the idea to do that, so I will have in Shabbat my chicken. So I thanked God, because for me it's a miracle. That's to be naive in a good way. To be with an open heart. Heart of flesh, and not heart of stone. This is what we're talking about. So I would like to give you 4 practices to try, at least till Rosh Hashanah. The first one is to practice trust to others. Not to trust when a scheme calling you, give me your card number or the keys to your house. No, but to our friends, wife, husband, kids, parents, to our friends in the community. Someone tell us something, not to say, oh, again he's telling me his nonsense, or again he's trying to manipulate me or something. No, they tell me something. Let me try to believe. To be able to receive what they say. Not to look for but what they're actually trying to manipulate. Yeah, like the Romans, one of the Romans that used to do theater. So he said, man to man, a wolf, right? Human lupus est. It's a practice of Rome, not of ours. Stop being a wolf to each other. That's the first practice I ask. I recommend, and to myself as well. Not telling you to do something, but telling us that we should practice.
Yeah, Titus Mactius Plautus, author.
Plautus, yeah. I studied a little bit older than I look, so I finished my university a few years back, so I don't remember all the names. Yeah, okay. Thank God I don't have enough white hair yet. So the second practice that I would like us to try to practice is to know how to open up and to be vulnerable, first of most, before of God. To be vulnerable. God already know it all, see it all. Don't try to, nobody sees at home, so I will be like this, but in the synagogue will be. No. You're already coming to the prayer. on Mondays, on Thursdays, on Shabbat Eve, right? On Friday evening, and Shabbat in the morning, the holidays. You're really there. Talk with God. Be vulnerable. Be open. And then also with people. Again, of course, carefully. You should not be vulnerable and open up with your enemies. But your husband, your wife, your parents, your brother, sister, your best friends, maybe you have some figures in the community you can be also be vulnerable with or open up. Practice it. Of course, with cautious. To be ready to be vulnerable. The third practice I would like us to go, to take with us tonight is to start to talk truth. Stop manipulating. Stop saying yes when you actually say no. In the area around Israel, what we call the Middle East. So culturally, it's a problem to say no. So usually we ask people, say, yeah, I will try. Never accept this answer. If somebody says, I will try, say, no, tell me yes or no, and if yes, at what time exactly? Because if not, he might not come, because he didn't want to tell you no, because it's not comfortable to say. Sometimes to tell the truth, it's not comfortable. So yeah, we need to say it with love, with care, to do it with humanity, but to start to practice and to be true, to be trustworthy. It's also being the opposite of being cynic. Say the truth. The fourth practice I would like us to take, I think it's obvious, but I will say it anyway. It's to fight with our cynic tendency. I can practice or get ready even in advance. Just to analyze. Okay, so today I'm going to meet those people and I'm going to be in those places with at this work and so on. I already know myself where usually my cynic words and actions are coming out, with which people, in what places, and in advance. Okay, so I need to fight it in those moments to bite my tongue. Where usually I try to say those nasty things or just to cancel people, and so to try in advance to fight it. It's not easy. Ask for help. Pray to God. Talk with your friend. Talk with your therapist. But to work on it, to fight it, to try to fight this cynicism, this leitzanut, this heart of stone. So I think we had a very important lesson to start our journey to Rosh Hashanah. We have already less than 7 weeks, as we said in the beginning. Rosh Hashanah, it's not a new year. It's not the Jewish New Year. There's not such a thing as Jewish New Year. It's the head of the year, and it's not also just for Jews. It's the head of the year of all humanity. But about that, we're going to talk in a separate lesson where we're going to discuss Rosh Hashanah separately. But for now, we spoke a lot. And if you would like, I would like to add, if you want, a book that we have in English as well, Mesilat Yesharim, by Ramchal, by the sage Rabbi Chaim Moshe Luzzatto. And if you start to read the whole book and slowly but surely read it and practice, it will be amazing for you. Before your Rosh Hashanah going to be mind-blowing in the good way, in the best way possible. But even if just to start the first few chapters about being careful. So starting with the entry and going through first 5 chapters. The first 5 chapters, in them there's a bit of what we spoke today, but those 5 chapters will give you so much. Will give you so much. If you have any questions, please. So Anastasia asked us, we spoke today about praying, about talking with God. What do I do when we have the Siddur, we have the prayer book, but those words are not mine? It's so hard for me to get related with those words. They're so far from me. What do I do? And it's an amazing question. It's a beautiful question, because prayer to begin with was the tool of prophets. It was something that need to come from the heart. There are many reasons why eventually we have the prayer book as we have it, and we should use it. And of course, when you pray alone at home, you should pray in a language that you understand. In a minyan, of course, should be in Hebrew, and the only language you can pray in without understanding your prayer, it's in Hebrew. You should pray in your language and understand what you read if you pray alone at home. Now, but it's still not my words, right? Beautiful question. So first of all, in the heart of the prayer itself, which is the Amidah, the individual prayer, we actually should add our own words according the context of the blessings. We have 19 blessings in the weekdays and 7 blessings in Shabbat and holidays. And we need to know how, but at certain places, I also add, for example, in healing, I have a whole text and the names that I put there that the people I pray for, for example, for sustenance and abundance, or for Israel, for the soldiers, and for those who got kidnapped. So I have the place where I add those prayers, of course. We need to know how to do that. And in Russian, I have a whole series of lessons about the prayer book, where I was opening different prayer books and studying, and you should do that and know the prayer. And probably at some point we're going to open here also and study prayer in a deeper and more intimate way, because then suddenly the prayer, I will get it. I will get the words. The words will become mine, and I will know how to add my own words to the words that the sages wrote to us. At some point, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will have the merit that Sanhedrin will come together again, and they will be able to change the words, because some of the prayers are prayers that, if we could, I think we would better change them, because it's prayers of being in exile. But we're not in time of exile anymore. In our times, most of the nation of Israel are actually back in our land, something that we didn't have for over 3,000 years. Since the destruction of the kingdom of Israel and the exile of the 10 out of 12 tribes, since then, we never had the majority of our nation in our homeland, in the mainland, right? So in that sense, some prayers, hopefully Sanhedrin will be soon, so we'll be able to change it, right? And fix it and to correct it, because some words we will read about things that are very relevant to our time of exile, not to our times today. But we cannot just come and change it as we wish. Some we can, most of it not, and therefore the more we will know in a more intimate way the prayer, we'll know where to add our words, and also to be able to relate to the structure that the sages put, because the structure have a very deep meaning. When we study Kabbalah, and we understand why this word is here and why the structure of the blessing is Baruch Atah Hashem, and why the structure working like this. So at some point, like mathematics, you build a building. You don't need to like it, but some facts working in a certain way, you need to build it this way. Otherwise, the building will collapse. Right? Makes sense? So the same way, words in English, right? There is a way to build your sentence. So even if I'm not perfect, you still can understand me, because most of it I build in the right way. Make sense? So also here, I hope I answered the question of Anastasia.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. What I said, the book in Russian, they have also online, they can read. I also gave lessons about exactly the first, not only the 5, a little bit more than the first 5 chapters that I recommend you today. I gave a few more lessons from this book. So for those who it's hard to read or then to get the book, in Russian, I have those lessons on my YouTube channel. In English, I have less lessons, but as we go now, those lessons also will be added in English to my YouTube channel. So you'll be able to hear it also as well there. Anything else? Sorry? בבקשה רב. Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone who came. Thank you for everyone who are not maybe in Hanover but are still with us in Zoom. See you on Shabbat and next week, next lesson. Good luck to all of us.
Leila Tov.